All right, guys. So today's December 1st, 2016. My name is Farzan Parupia, and I want to welcome you to this live webinar on how to be successful with a new Amazon product launch strategy. Now, this is a very, very important topic, and I think a very timely webinar because there are so many people that have been concerned whether you are a new seller or a seller that's kind of looking, a person who's looking into selling on Amazon, or you are even an experienced seller, meaning you've already launched one or a few products on Amazon. How exactly do you go about launching products now that Amazon has changed their terms of service recently with regards to incentivized reviews, and we're going to get into that more in just a few minutes. But the gist of it is basically that Amazon no longer allows reviews to be required or mandatory in exchange for discounted or free products, which are also known as giveaways, and that's caused a huge stir and a storm of concerns amongst the Amazon selling community. And many of my students and members and followers, etc., expressed that concern to me and were asking, hey, how do we actually go about launching a product now? Because before it was just, hey, let's just do a few giveaways and then get some reviews, and then we basically turn on sponsored ads, and that was kind of the typical launch strategy. Now that has to change a little bit, but not as much as you'd think. But there are many new strategies and tactics that we can utilize to have successful product launches. And we'll see that even putting aside the giveaway strategy and that, the incentivized reviews, we can still have successful product launches. And we'll see how we can do that in this webinar. So again, the best process to launch a new Amazon product, this is probably the best one I've found and that I've used. And it's important to figure out how to turn every detriment into our unique competitive edge. So it's important that anytime there's a change with the marketplace, Amazon, we figure out how to turn every new terms of service, change, how to turn every, kind of obstacle or challenge into some sort of opportunity, into some sort of competitive edge. That's extremely important, not just if you're an Amazon business owner, but that's extremely important just in your life. I mean, you face struggles and challenges and obstacles all the time in business and in life. And obviously, those challenges should make you stronger. They should make you step out of your comfort zone a little bit and try to figure out, hey, how do I turn this into an opportunity? How do I turn this into a good thing? Instead of just complaining and following all those, thousands of comment feeds where people are just complaining and they're like, oh, this is hopeless. And, oh, I was just planning to get started. And, oh, I already ordered my inventory. You heard all those sob stories. And if people put just as much energy into actually trying to solve the problem and trying to figure out how to get past it, then as much as they do in complaining and sobbing, then I think we'd be in a much better position. But it's a good thing that you're here, for this webinar, and it's a good thing that you're hopefully trying to, figure this out if you haven't already. How to launch a product on Amazon successfully. So what are you going to learn today in this webinar? So we've revised and improved everything when it comes to launching a new product on Amazon. The whole workflow is much tighter and centered around triggering a big rank increase, as we'll see, and that's kind of been what product launches have been centered around. But now it's not as random as it was before, as just doing giveaways here and there and then magically getting rank, which was somewhat of the case, back, a couple of years back, or even before the terms of service changes. But now it has to be much more systematic, as we'll see. So there's a 4-part launching attack that works exceptionally well now, as we'll see. What's our goal when we launch a product? That's the first question we have to ask ourselves before we even get into any part of this process. So the bottom line, as we know, when it comes to launching a product, our goal is to get it ranked and massively pump up its visibility as fast as possible out of the gate, right? We have to get it ranked, and that rank, the increase in rank as we launch our product, will result in greater visibility to the traffic, to those potential customers that are on Amazon. And we want to do that as quickly as possible. Why do we want to do that? So that we can get organic sales naturally kicking in as quickly as possible, right? So again, it's one thing leading to another. So the ranking leads to visibility. Visibility leads to organic sales, right? And we want to do that as quickly as possible so that, of course, we can start making money. But what exactly causes short-term and long-term ranking on Amazon. Now, there are many different factors that cause ranking changes on Amazon, short-term and long-term. But I think in terms, if you use the 80-20 rule, there are probably three primary, overall total, there are probably over 30 or 40 different factors when it comes to ranking on Amazon. However, I think these three pretty much will take care of 80% of whatever affects ranking, right? So these three factors that you get you ranked to page one. Number one is daily sales velocity. Okay, so how many sales are you making on a daily basis? That's extremely important to Amazon, and that is the number one factor that will get you ranked to page one. I mean, think about it. If you were, Jeff Bezos, think if Amazon were your company, obviously you want products that people are buying to show up first before the other products that aren't selling as well. So if I'm selling a product that is making 50 sales a day, and you're selling a product, or someone else is selling a product making 40 sales a day, you as the company owner would obviously want me to show up for more people because you know that that product is more popular, that has more sales velocity. So similarly, in this case, daily sales velocity is what it contributes. It's the number one factor when it comes to ranking your product on page one. Number two, on-page conversion rate. Okay, so on-page conversion rate basically means how many people are visiting your listing versus how many people are buying your offer or buying your product, right? This is extremely important, and one of the main, again, probably second most important right after daily sales velocity, especially when it comes to long term, right? You have to make sure that your conversion rate is sticking high. And high, we mean basically around 25% or so. That's kind of the ideal that you want to go for. So 1 out of every 5 or 1 out of every 4 people to around 20-25%, you want people buying. So every 4 visitors, every 5 visitors you want one of those visits to result in a purchase or a bought product. Okay, so that's what on-page conversion rate is. And you want this to max out around that number, 20-25%, to stick on page one. And you can even get it above that. We shouldn't limit ourselves to just 20-25%. Of course, as high as you can get, the better. And then number 3, the third factor is 5-star reviews. Okay, so when it comes to ranking by itself, reviews actually do not contribute anything to rank, like the first two do. So sales velocity and on-page conversion rate have a direct impact and correlation with regards to rank. However, 5-star reviews don't alone drive rankings, but coupled with the other factors, especially the two main ones that you see, the daily sales velocity and on-page conversion rate, they dramatically increase on-page conversions. So the higher the number of 5-star reviews that you have, the higher number of good reviews, good quality reviews that you have, that will significantly improve your conversion rate, right? So it's not necessarily directly correlated, but it's directly correlated with something that is directly correlated with rank. So the greater number of 5-star reviews you have, the more on-page conversion rate you have. And the greater your on-page conversion rate you have, the more sales you're going to get. So as you can see, these 3 factors almost are related to one another. And reviews is almost like the foundation. You need to have those high quality 5-star reviews to get that good conversion rate, which will obviously lead to a greater number of sales. So how do we actually make this happen, right? Keeping in mind those 3 things, those 3 factors, how do we make this happen? And that's where this new Amazon product launch strategy comes in. And it's a 5-step process that you basically use. And I mean, you could consider it almost like a 3-step, but there are, the beginning and then the mid have 2 steps each. So before the launch is 1 step, it's the first step. And that's when you prepare your listing for a big success. There are many things. Unfortunately, many people don't realize that when it comes to launching a product, it's not only what you're doing after your product is launched. A lot of it is before, right? It's just like when you build a house. The house does not start getting off the ground until the foundation is built. Now, the foundation is has to be strong for the house to stand up when it actually start building up, right? If the foundation is not strong, that means you're not ready to build up because it's going to crumble down. Similarly here, the preparation before the launch for your listing is the foundation of your product and its success. And if that foundation is strong and you do it properly and you prepare it properly, taking all the steps that we'll talk about right now, then you are set up for success, and everything else you do after this will really build on that foundation. So that's the first step, is to prepare the listing even before the launch. The second step is during the beginning of the launch, and that is what we call FFFPB, which is family and friends full price buys. That's right. So we're actually going to be looking to get sales that are full price that we're offering to our family and friends, and we're going to get more into that when we get to that step of this process. Number 3 is also at the beginning of the launch, and that's sponsored ads. So that's the third step. We're going to jump into that a little bit. Then number 4, in the middle of the launch, so after you actually do the first 3 steps, there are certain things that you can do to basically, to make sure you're making the most out of the first 3 steps. So that's doing split testing to maximize conversion rate. We'll talk about what that actually means in a little bit. And then finally, a mid-launch contingency plan, which means that let's say that you do the first 4 steps and they're not working how you expected, or your product's not doing as well as it should have. How do we actually go about repairing and fixing an underperforming listing or product? We're going to talk just a little bit about that at the end of the webinar. So before I actually continue, let me make sure you guys are still alive and awake. Guys, does the sound keep cutting off? Someone said the sound keeps cutting off. Is that the case? No? Okay. Y'all can hear me? Everything is good so far? Quality, audio, video, or the screen? Okay, cool. Just making sure. Yeah, for the person who's having those audio issues, it might be on your end. It seems like everybody else is doing okay on their side with the quality of the audio. So hopefully, you can get that resolved. All right. So what's awesome about what I'm about to show you, or some of what I'm about to show you, obviously this webinar doesn't enable us to go into everything in detail. A lot of what I'm going to be mentioning is higher level. But even these steps that I'm about to go through, trust me, like 99 out of 100, 99% of Amazon sellers never do, or even know, or even understand this stuff, right? What you're about to see, and what you're about to, kind of have access to and learn, is really stuff that a lot of Amazon sellers just don't do or don't know about, either because they think that like they're complacent, they're okay with where they are, or they just give up, or they just don't think that it's valuable they don't have the time, they don't put in the effort to actually go about learning about new strategies and new tactics that they can use, because Amazon's constantly changing, and so we have to change with it as well. So this stuff is very, very valuable, and I highly encourage you to take notes if you're not doing that already. So again, the new product launch strategy, it's these 5 things, these 5 steps, and right now we're going to jump into step number 1, which is preparing your listing for a big success. And this is probably again, as the foundation, it's probably the most important of these 5 steps, as we'll see, and we're going to go into this in a little bit more detail right now. So this is the before stage, before the launch, all about preparing your listing for a big success before we try to rank. And there are a few steps under this first step. So there are like sub steps now. So the step 1 of 5 of this whole process is to prepare your listing for a big success. Now, under that step 1, there are sub steps, and the first of these sub steps is doing effective keyword research. Now, when it comes to doing keyword research, there are 4 different types of keywords that you can basically segment your keyword research into. Okay. Now, number 1 is major keywords, and this is generally around 10 keywords. This is your most relevant and important keywords that relate to your product or to your listing. Okay. Now, we're not going to go into detail into how to do keyword research, because that's not the point of this webinar. The point of this webinar is to give you kind of the higher level strategy when it comes to launching a product based on the recent changes in Amazon's terms of service. There are certain things, or many things actually, in this webinar that again, we're not going to go into detail, but you should hopefully have resources or be able to access some training on how to actually go about doing these certain steps. So keyword research is one of those things. We're not going to go into detail on how to do it, but when you actually do it, you should end up with around 10 major keywords. Minor keywords can be, I mean, there's almost like an unlimited number of minor keywords you can potentially have. Generally, you have at least 30, 40, 50 plus minor keywords. And then brand keywords are basically keywords that are associated with, obviously, as the term suggests, other brands who are very popular or very, good selling brands when it comes to your niche or to your category. And so you definitely want to have brand keywords. And then the final one is misspellings. Now, this is kind of weird, the weird section or category, but misspellings is basically when you do your keyword research, you'll realize that there are actually in some categories, especially, very common misspellings that people make when it comes to searching for specific products. Now, whatever the case is, whatever the reason is that people are misspelling the word, you have to take advantage of that and you have to keep that in mind. And if people are misspelling words, and a lot of people are doing it, that's going to be one of your keywords. And most of the time, you'll get maybe 3 to 5 misspelled keywords that you'll have on your list if you do your keyword research, properly and thoroughly. So what I would recommend is create a chart when it comes to keyword research and just make these 4 columns. So the first column, major keywords, then minor, then brand, then misspellings. And under each column, you basically start listing out your keywords when you do your keyword research. And now I should have had a chart here, but I don't. So we're just going to skip that slide there. But yeah, ideally you want to have a chart so that you can list all your keywords out. So now the second sub step under prepare your listing for a big success is to write your Amazon listing without regard to keywords. Okay, that's the second step. So again, like I mentioned, keyword research, we didn't go into detail. There's another thing that we're not going to go into detail here, and that's copywriting, which means, how to actually go about writing the copy of your Amazon listing. That includes your title, that includes your bullets, that includes your, description. Those are the kind of the main things. And, a lot of people struggle when it comes to writing copy. And I think you just have to really, first of all, you should actually access some sort of training on copywriting and how to actually go about writing copy, especially for Amazon listings, the right way. But if you did that, even then people struggle. And that's because, for whatever reason, people have a hard time actually writing out certain, copy and making it relatable and making it also salesy enough where people are convinced and influenced to buy the product. Whatever the case is, you need to make sure that you kind of harness that skill as much as possible. You can outsource that as well if you want to. But you can do it yourself if you have the means, or if you're really good at doing it as well. But the point is that you want to write the listing as it relates to the customer, right? And let it happen naturally. I think one of the reasons sometimes people are not able to write listings in the best way is because they're too concerned about fitting all the keywords in. And that kind of really kind of makes them stuck in a certain way where they're not able to, articulate everything the way they want to. So put that restriction aside and forget keywords altogether and just write the Amazon listing as though you have no concern for keywords. Okay, so that's step 2. And then step 3 is to rewrite your Amazon listing with as many keywords as possible. So once you actually write the entire listing, right, and again, that includes the title, the bullets, and the description. Once you actually write that whole thing without the keywords, then go back and put in your keywords. And again, with the title, keywords are extremely important. So you might even want to put the title aside and not do that in step 2. Maybe just do the bullets and the description in step 2. And then the title, obviously, because you have to have the keywords in the title. Then you can do that later. So rewrite your Amazon listing with as many keywords as possible. So when it comes to rewriting, this is extremely important, and I urge you to take notes here. Number 1, there's a tool called Helium 10. This is a very powerful Amazon software tool that will enable you to compare your current listing with all the keywords that need to be put in. So we're going to go into that in detail in just a second. Then rewrite listing to incorporate all missing keywords. So once you actually use the tool to find out which keywords are missing, then you rewrite the listing to incorporate all those missing keywords, and then we're going to talk a little bit about keyword weighting. So where you actually place your keywords does make a difference, and we'll talk a little bit about that in just a second. So Helium 10, there are several tools that this software suite comes with. Two of the ones I want to talk about here that relate to keyword research. Number one is Frankenstein. So you'll see on the actual tool, and let me see if I can pull that up here real quick. Yeah, so right here, you'll see that there's a tool called Frankenstein, and then there's a tool called Scribble. So the one I'm referring to right now is actually Frankenstein. And what this tool enables you to do is basically put in all the keywords that you have, or the keyword phrases that you have, and make a list, a single, like a list of all of the keywords without any of them being repeated. That's extremely important. So you might, for example, have, like we said, the major keywords, the minor keywords, the misspellings, and then also the brands. So you put all of those into this tool here, and what it does is it takes all of the single, unrepeated keywords and puts them in a list, right? Because when it comes to ranking on Amazon, or when it comes to doing keyword, ranking via keywords on Amazon, there's actually no point of repeating a keyword more than once. Okay, there's literally no point. So if you have a keyword in a title, there's literally no point of putting it again in a bullet or a description, and you might repeat it just because of the copy that you have, just because of the words that you're using and the sentences that you're using. But when it comes technically to the actual ranking factor, it's not like if your main keyword, for example, is like iPhone 7 case, and you just put that like 50 times in your listing, and then the back end and the title, you put it everywhere, you think that that's going to boost your ranking. It's not. There's no difference of putting it 50 times versus putting it one time. Okay, so that's very important. So that's the reason we use this tool, is to actually get an accurate number of exactly how many keywords we have from all the phrases and from everything that we did with our keyword research. So it's going to put it into a single list here. And now let me go back to the presentation. So once you actually get that unrepeated list of keywords, you're going to go to the listing optimizer, and that's called Scribbles. That's another tool inside Helium 10. And that is to see which keywords are missing in your listing. So actually, let me go back to that. So here you go. So this is Scribbles, and what you're gonna do is they call that list of unrepeated keywords master keywords. So you're gonna paste all of them here, and then what you're gonna do is you're gonna paste whatever listing copy you've come up with. So your title, your description, your bullet points, and then your keywords, right? So the keywords are in the back end. So it's like the search terms that you put in the back end. And I'm assuming that most of you on this webinar know what that is. So when you actually create your Amazon Seller Central account, you create your product, there's a section in the back end of that product under details or settings where you can put in, keywords that Amazon will index your listing or your product for, right? So that whenever someone searches those keywords, it shows up, in addition to what you already have in these three areas: the title, the description, the bullets. So what you're going to do is you're going to put in everything. So this assumes you've already, like we said, written the copy of your listing. You're going to put in everything that you've come up with, and you're going to also put in the list of keywords here that you got, the single list of keywords that you got using this tool. And what it's going to show you, what it's going to tell you is, let's say you have a total of 100 keywords, for example, right here. And then you put in everything here, it'll tell you, let's say 60 keywords, or let's say 40 keywords missing, right? And what it's going to do is it's going to remove the words that are already here from this list. So it's pretty awesome how it does that. So let's say I have my, description, and it tells me 40 words are missing. So I look at the description and I'm like, okay, you know what? I can replace this one word with one of these keywords that I know it's missing. And then I'm going to put it in. And what it's going to do is it's going to take the 40 words that are missing and it's going to turn it into 39. And you just keep doing that. So, okay, go into the description, go into the title, go into the keywords and the bullets, and basically play around with it and put in all the keywords that are missing until this number becomes 0. Okay. And that's how awesome this tool is. So that's what you're going to do when it comes to your keyword and your putting your listing together. So you're going to use the tools Frankenstein and Scribbles to do this. And this makes rewriting very easy, like I just showed you, or like I just said, because the tool removes any keyword from the missing list that you add to your listing as you rewrite it. There's literally no easier way to go about rewriting, because one problem you would have to kind of manually remember, okay, I've added this keyword, and then so again, it does it all automatically in like live as you're making those changes. And you can also sign up for Helium 10 using this link if you want to. So bit.ly/helium and then FP. Those are my initials for Zanparupi if you want to. You can go ahead and sign up there. If you want to look into this tool, that's just a quick link if you want to access it and look into that tool. So weighting, where you put your keywords on your listing does matter. Okay, so when it comes to the weight of your keywords, it actually does matter where they are. The title is the most important. Okay, the title is the most important, and the keywords that are in the title have the greatest weight when it comes to your keywords. And what's interesting about the title is that the keywords are the most important, and it also is the field or the part of your listing that's also the most restricted. It has the most restriction on it when it comes to characters and words that you can actually use. So it's very important to be strategic when it comes to putting together your title and using the proper keywords. And what I would recommend is basically your major keywords should only go in your title and in your bullets. Okay, so you have 10 major keywords. Try to get as many of those major keywords into your title, and the ones that you can't fit in your title, then put those in your bullets. Because after the title, number 2 in terms of weight is the bullets. Okay, so you fit whatever remaining major keywords there are that you weren't used in the title into the bullets, and then you have minor keywords. So you have bullets and the description. So whatever room you have in the bullets, you fit in minor keywords, and whatever minor keywords you're not able to use in the bullets, you put in the description, because that's what comes next. So in terms of weight, again, it's title, then bullets, then description, and then search terms in the back end. So the remaining keywords that you have, and most likely those are probably the misspellings or the brand keywords, those you're going to put either in the description or in the back end in the search terms. Okay, so that's kind of the criteria when it comes to weighting. And then back end, this is just a quick tip. This is also kind of being discussed still, and it's a bit unknown for sure whether this is true or not. But again, it's better, in my opinion, to be safe than sorry, especially because of what the result could be here. So in the back end, for those of you who have been in the back end, you know that there are basically 5 lines when it comes to the search terms. Okay. What's being discussed currently in the Amazon selling community is the lines 1 through 3. Use those lines. Do not use lines 4 and 5, because for some reason it seems like when you put keywords in lines 4 and 5, they actually start to de-index by Amazon for whatever reason. So you're actually hurting your listing and your ability to rank with those keywords if you use lines 4 and 5. So just to be safe, use lines 1 through 3 in the back end of your search terms. Don't use lines 4 and 5. Okay, so now sub-step 4 again, we're still on step 1 of 5 of the whole process, but we're in sub-step 4 of the first step, right? So verify that your listing is indexed in Amazon search. So obviously, once you actually do all of this, we've discussed a lot when it comes to keyword research and trying to optimize the listing using the keywords and how to go about doing that and the weight and everything. So now, how do we actually make sure that our listing and our product are for sure indexed in Amazon search without any doubt? So it's a very easy process. There's 2 ways. One is the automated way, and then one is the manual way. So the automated way, you can still use the Helium 10 tool, and another tool or another feature in Helium 10, the suite. One of the tools is called 5K Checker, and this tool inside Helium 10 checks if your listing is indexed in Amazon for all of your keywords. So all the keywords that you have, it makes sure that your Amazon listing is indexed for every single one of them. And obviously, you want to have every one of your keywords indexed in Amazon, because what that means is that whenever someone searches for any one of those keywords, your product will show up in the results, whether it's on page 1 or page whatever. But at the very least, your product is being indexed, meaning that it's searchable using that keyword on Amazon. That's very important. Even if it's minor keywords, you want to make sure as many as possible, because the more keywords your listing is indexed for, the higher the chance that people will find your listing when searching on Amazon. So that's the automated process. The manual process, this will take some time because you have probably many keywords. But again, you can outsource it or you can do it yourself if you have the time to do it and you don't want to invest into Helium 10 tool. And that is just searching on Amazon. So here's how that works. So you basically go to Amazon search and you type in the ASIN of the product, and I'll show you how to do this in just a second. You type in the ASIN first, and then you put a space, and then you put in the keyword that you want to check for whether that product or that ASIN is indexed for that keyword or not. So you put in that keyword, and then you click enter or search. If the search results show that it says we found 0 results, then the listing is not indexed for that keyword. So let me show you how to actually go about doing that. Okay, so here we go. So I basically just went to iPhone 7 case and I searched and I just found this random product. So I grabbed the ASIN of this product. It's very easy to grab the ASIN. You can basically just go to the listing if you want, go into the product listing, and you know, there's 2 ways to go about finding the ASIN. So here's one way, is in the URL. It's usually the thing that comes right after DP/. So here is the ASIN right there. You can also scroll down if you want under the product details here, and you'll also find the ASIN. Okay, regardless of how you actually find the ASIN, just get it and then you copy it. And what you do next is you go to Amazon, and like I said, you click on, you actually first paste the ASIN in, and then you type in a keyword. So for example, if I type in, you know, case, it's definitely going to show up because we know that the word case, we even saw it in the title, right? So we see that there's actually results that come up. Now, if I put in a random keyword like dog or something, right? So it says we found 0 results for the search ASIN dog. Now this will still show up here just because of the ASIN, right? But if it says for this quote search, what we just searched, we found 0 results, that means that this product, this ASIN, is not indexed for this word dog. And obviously it shouldn't be because it's an iPhone 7 case. We're just using a silly example, but it means that it's not indexed for this keyword, meaning that if someone was to search dog or whatever dog something in Amazon, this product would never show up because that word is not indexed for this product or this ASIN, right? So let's search another, you know, another kind of random keyword. So see, it says we found 0 results for this and waterproof. So this means that this keyword is not, if you typed in waterproof, it wouldn't show up. This product wouldn't show up. Now let's try another one. Let's try, you know, gift. I think I tried that one. Okay, there you go. So you see how before it said 0 results? Now it says 1 result, and it's showing us that we have the ASIN, and that means that this keyword gift is actually indexed. It's being indexed for this ASIN for this product, meaning somewhere in the listing, whether it's in the title, whether it's in the bullets or the description, or in the back end, which we can't even see as customers on Amazon, that somewhere they have this keyword listed and it's been indexed. So if someone ever searches something that has this keyword in it, this product has a chance of showing up based on, of course, the other phrases or the other words in that search. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense, and hopefully that was valuable. So that's how you do it for your own product. Now, obviously, you know, if you have, let's say, 100 plus keywords, it's going to take some time for you to do that. You know, it's good if you use the automated tool if you want. If not, then you can do this manually for every keyword. You just go in, paste the keyword, search, do that process again and again for every keyword. For the keywords that aren't indexed, basically what you do is you either there's 2 things you can do. In some cases, you might actually see that there's a keyword that's not indexed that you actually do have in your listing. And sometimes, probably for the most part, that will occur for keywords that are in the back end, you know, in the search terms in your product listing. And if you find that a keyword that's in your back end is not showing up or is not being indexed, what you can do is move that around. So either put it in the bullets or put it in the description, and hopefully that should take care of that. But you just want to make sure that your listing is indexed for all of your keywords, especially obviously the major ones and the minor ones. Not so much for the misspelling, but even those you want to make sure that are there, because like we said, the more you have, the better. Okay. All right. So that was the 4 steps under, or the 4 sub steps under this first step of the 5-step process. So prepare a listing for a big success. We talked about how to do effective keyword research. We talked about how to write your Amazon listing without regard to keywords. Let them happen naturally. We talked about how to rewrite your Amazon listing. So again, you first write your Amazon listing without regard to keywords. Let it happen naturally. Then you rewrite your Amazon listing with as many keywords as possible, and you can use the software suite Helium 10, and then the 2 tools that I mentioned, Scribbler and Frankenstein, together to actually go about doing this, to make sure that you're not missing any keywords. And then 4 is to verify that your listing is indexed in Amazon search, and you can do that again using Helium 10, or you can do it manually, as we just discussed. Okay, so the product launch strategy, step 1 is complete. Now we are going to jump into step 2, and that is family and friends full price buys. Before I do that, let me make sure you guys are still there. I apologize for taking like these short breaks, but I just want to make sure that everyone is still there, because I can't see the chat when I'm in the presentation. So okay. Yeah, let me actually, so someone just requested the link be put up again. So let me just message that to you guys in the chat. Okay, I don't know why all that stuff came up, but it's that link right there. Let me try that again. Okay, not sure why. Okay, I think it's okay. There we go. Sure. That should work. If you click that, it should basically just take you to the Helium 10 page. Okay, cool. All right, so everyone can hear me? Everything is good? Yes. Okay. Awesome. All right, so let's jump back into the presentation real quick. We did that. Okay. All right, so family and friends full price buys is the next step of the 5-step product launch strategy. So this part of the process, again, is very, very important. This is the second step. The goal of this step is to get a massive ranking increase with full price buys, okay? So before we get into that, let's talk about incentivized reviews real quick. There's kind of a question, or there's kind of a confusion for whatever reason, that people think that they can't offer discounted products anymore. They can't offer like sales on products anymore. That is ridiculous. And for an online shopping marketplace platform, it doesn't make any sense that sellers of that platform wouldn't be able to offer discounts for their products. Okay. Now, just to make it clear to everybody, what the incentivized reviews policy change, again, just to reiterate, what they've done is that you cannot require or mandate reviews in exchange for product sales. And that actually goes for not just discounted products. Okay. That doesn't just go for products that are just a certain percentage off, or for for free that you're giving away. Rather, even if a person, for example, buys, let's say, your product for $20, which is your normal price, you actually are not allowed to go to that person and say, hey, you have to leave me a review. That's actually not allowed, right? Especially with the policy change, it's not allowed. So it has nothing to do with discounts or coupons. Rather, it just has to do with mandating reviews, especially 5-star reviews. So that's kind of what the policy has to do with. It has nothing to do with offering discounts or coupons, and discounts and coupons are not banned. So avoid incentivized reviews, right? So avoid requiring reviews, and avoid doing an exchange. So avoid saying, hey, I'll give you this discounted product or free product, and you give me a review in exchange, even if you don't say 5-star review. That's what people used to do before. the terms of service changed, you can't do that anymore. Okay, but discounts and coupons are not banned. That's something to make very clear and to understand. So the first step of this second step, I guess the first step of the second step, family and friends full price buys, is get your full price buys and your base ideally of 10 to 15 reviews. Okay, so what we're doing in this case, just to explain the strategy and just the process, is that we are asking people to pay full price for the product. So let's say you're selling a $20 product on Amazon. What you're going to do is you're going to message whatever friends and family that you have, and you're going to ask them, hey, buy my product. I just launched it on Amazon. I would really appreciate your support. Please buy my product on Amazon. But they will buy the product, but what you'll do is you're going to reimburse them via PayPal or via, whatever. You're going to tell them that, hey, I'll give you whatever you pay back. I just need you to buy this product. So actually for them, there's no cost, right? You're going completely out of pocket for this. So if your product is $20, you're actually going to pay the $20 or even whatever they pay for shipping, in addition to the Amazon fees, et cetera, that you're going to pay anyway when you make a sale on Amazon. Okay. So you're going to go out of pocket for this a little bit, but it's worth it to get full price buys because there's nothing that improves rank more than full price purchases on Amazon. Okay, it's very, very important that we get those full price purchases because we can't really do the incentivized reviews anymore. We're going to get into how to get the reviews, but let's right now just talk about getting the sales. Okay, and we want to get those full price buys first. So what we do is we make a list of 100 people. Okay, so again, the reason we do the full price buys is because we want that the maximum amount of ranking boost as possible. And so make a list of 100 people. Now I know some of you listening right now or watching this right now are like, okay, well, how in the world do I make a list of 100 family and friends, especially if I'm outside of the US? How do I actually go about doing that? Believe me, with Facebook, with your list of friends, with even people that who are in the US, or especially if you're in the US, you should be able to do this without any issues. And your mind's going to tell you, oh, I only have 10 people or 15, 20 people. Believe me, if you actually start thinking about it, you have probably even more than 100 people, but you need to make a list of 100 people. And the purpose of doing this is you're going to contact at least 60 of those people, and 50 of them are going to get you the sale. So, let's say you contact 60, 70 people. Most of them will say yes, especially if they know you, if they're your friends and family, and if they know that they're going to get reimbursed for that purchase anyway. So if you ask me and you tell me, hey, buy my product, it's $20 and whatever for the shipping, if you don't have Prime even, and I'll pay you right back on PayPal. I'll be like, yeah, okay, what's the harm in doing that? I get to support you and I'm helping you out and I don't lose any money in the process. And I get a free product too. That's like the best deal ever. So most people are going to end up saying yes. And then from those 50, you want to get a minimum of 15 reviews. Okay, so the percentage of getting the reviews is not that high, and we'll actually talk about how to get those reviews. But the percentage, if you get 15 out of 50, that's fairly decent. That's fairly decent. Okay, that's about 30% or so of people, which is fairly decent. You want to try to get that number as high as possible, but the minimum you want to aim for is around 30% of the 50, which is around 15 people. What you want to do to these people or for these people is send them the canonical URL. So the link that you send them is known as the canonical URL. It's a very easy process of finding it. Some of you may also already be aware of this, but I'm just going to show you guys this, especially for those of you who are not. That's not it. There we go. Okay, so we use the iPhone 7 case example. Basically, what you would do is whenever you're on a listing, so obviously you're doing this for your own product, what you would do for yourself is you would right-click on the screen, and then you would click on View Page Source. Once you click on View Page Source, what it's going to do is it's going to open up a new window, and it's going to take maybe about 10-15 seconds to open. So don't think that your computer is frozen or anything, or it's not working. It will. Just wait 10-15 seconds. It's going to open this up because it takes time to load the whole page because it's fairly long. And then what you do when you land on the page is you're going to do Command F if you're on a Mac, or Control F, I guess, if you're on a PC. And what it's going to do, it's going to pop up this search bar, which means you can search for anything on the page with the letters of the word. And what you're going to do is you're going to type in canonical. Okay, so it's like canon, but with ickle at the end. So canonical, And this is basically a URL, this one, that you're going to provide to your people, your family and friends that you've identified that these are the people I'm going to send this link to, and they're going to buy the product, and I'm going to refund them or whatever, or not refund them, but pay them back. This is the URL that you want to send them. Okay, so again, the simple steps: go onto your product page, view page source, come here, and let me just show you for purposes of, right? So I'm here, let's say I'm a random part of the page, Command F, type in canonical, enter, and it shows right up. It's the only canonical on the entire page, so it's very easy to find. 1 out of 1 search results, and you just copy this, and that's the link. You have to, make sure you copy and paste it somewhere. That's what you're going to be sending to your list. All right, so in terms of the process, right, you want to basically, ideally, you can do this in a very informal way, but again, it's better to have a systematic process of actually doing this. So to get these full price buys and reviews, what you're going to do is you're going to send 4 emails, and there's actually 4 steps. So ideally, you want to send that first email. So let's just say that you request a certain number of people on during the weekend or whatever. The first email you want to send them after they agree that they'll help you out, they'll buy your product or whatever, is on Tuesday. Okay, so that's the email when most people, it's actually, research shows that Tuesday for whatever reason is the day most people open emails, or open rates are the highest. So send them a tease email and tell them in that email that, hey, thank you so much for agreeing to buy my product and support me and in my new business and this and that. And I'm actually going to be sending everybody on this list who's agreed to do this tomorrow. And thank you for your patience, and I'll send you the link tomorrow. So please look out for it. I'm trying to have everybody buy the product on the same day, because that's what's going to give my product the highest boost when it comes to ranking on Amazon, and that's going to help my business or whatever, right? So of course you want to have a list of people, hopefully, that actually care about you and that are supporting you, and you can actually explain that to them, and they won't be like, oh, what's this guy? He's just trying to get, no, they're actually getting a very, very good deal out of this. So be frank with them and be like, hey, you're getting a free. You don't say this to them, but they're getting a free product. You're paying them back. They're not losing any money. They're literally getting a free product. And so that's the least they can do for you, hopefully, right? Again, in no part of this process are we requiring or asking for a review. We're not even there yet, okay? So the second step, next day, is Wednesday. Now, on this day, and this has somewhat to do with sales psychology. You don't have to do this. I'm just showing you the process, the systemized process that you can follow. You can change this up to whatever you want, depending on your people, whatever culture you are. Some of your friends and family, that they'll hate you doing this, so don't do it with them. But it's up to you. So you can delay the next day. So even though you told them that you'll send them to them on Wednesday, what you say is, hey, so sorry for the delay. We're just working on a few more things, just finalizing this or whatever the case is. We're going to send you the link first thing tomorrow on Thursday. So please look out for it, etc. Right? You can put a little bit more kind of teasing in there and just looking forward to it. By this time, if they really support you, they're probably like wondering, hey, what's this guy even selling? Because you haven't sent them the link yet. And the reason this is so important, and I haven't written this down on the slides, but you do not want to send anybody, none of your friends, none of your family, the link yet. You can tell them what you're selling, what your product is, but definitely that canonical URL that we just copied from our listing, do not send that to anybody. The reason we do not want to send that link to anybody yet is because if people start visiting that link, then what's going to happen? They're not ready to buy it because you haven't given them the go ahead. You haven't told them, hey, you can go ahead and buy it, because you want them to purchase on a specific day. So if you send them the link on like Monday or Tuesday, and hey, you're like, hey, you can check it out, but just don't buy it yet. I'll let you know when you can buy it. What's going to happen to your page conversion rate? That's one of the 3 main factors that leads to ranking on Amazon. It's going to tank. So you have 60 people who you're sending this link to, 50 of them go to your listing and don't buy yet on a Monday or Tuesday or whatever. That immediately is going to mess up your ranking, and you don't want that to happen. So do not reveal that link yet. Only do it when that email is ready. Only do it in that email on the day you want them to actually buy, so that the one time that they actually click that link, they're ready to buy, and that is the conversion rate that we're looking for, okay? So on Thursday morning, this is kind of an adjusted version of this. You can send everybody the link on Thursday morning if you want. That's one way to do it. The other way to do it is actually to send the link to half of your people, half of your list. So if you have 60 people, send 30 of them the link on Thursday morning, and then send instructions to the other half on Thursday evening. So now let me explain what that means. On Thursday morning, when you send the link to half and they buy, so what happens when they click the link? They go directly to the listing, they click add to cart, they buy it, they complete the purchase, done. What happens by Thursday evening? Hopefully that boost, hopefully let's say 25, 30 people who actually bought, hopefully those people buying full price purchases has improved your rank so much, has increased your rank so much in such a short period of time. And for those of you who have already sold on Amazon and have done product launches in the past, you know how quickly you can increase your rank on Amazon, right? Even in the search traffic, you can increase it fairly quickly. So what you want to do is send instructions to the other half, the other 30 on Thursday evening, about maybe, let's say 10, 12 hours later, saying that, hey, thank you so much for agreeing to do this. Here are the instructions to go ahead and find my product. And what you do in this email is you do not send them the link to the product listing. What you do rather is you tell them, go to Amazon.com, search this exact phrase. So whatever keyword you want to rank for or to improve your rank for, that should be one of your major keywords. Tell them, go and search this on Amazon. You're going to have to, because it's a new product, you're going to have to go to about pages, maybe about 10 pages or so, but you should find the product in that. You want to make sure that it's there. You want to probably try that yourself before you do this. And if you see that your product's not actually showing up in the first 10, 15 pages yet, even though you had the sales on Thursday morning, maybe just go ahead and send the link to the remaining half. But if that it's there, generally speaking, your product should improve in rank in search traffic to where it's showing up between pages 8 and 15 by Thursday evening after you send the link to the first half and they start buying. Okay, so that's why the instructions to the second half can be, hey, go to up to page, let's say 10 or 15. You should see our product there. Obviously, you want to make sure you send them an image of your product, of how it actually looks in the search, so that they don't click on the wrong product and buy the wrong product. They actually select and buy the right product. And that is the most, when it comes to improving rank, there is no better effective ranking method than what they call search, find, buy. Okay, so you search for a product, you find a product, you buy the product. That manual process of searching for it, finding it, and buying it is the greatest contributor to sales rank and search rank. Okay, that's going to improve your rank more than anything else, even more than the people who clicked your link directly. The manual process is actually going to help you more. But the reason you can't do it with the first half on Thursday morning is because your product, because it's new, because there's no sales yet, it's not going to show up anywhere. It's not going to show up. It might be on page 497,000 or something. It's not going to show up in the first 15, 20 pages, and you're not going to tell people to go through hundreds and hundreds of pages before they can find your product, if it's even there. So that's why you have to wait until you get those initial sales with the first half of the list, and then do it with the second half of the list if it's actually showing up by then. Okay. All right. Now the big question. Well, how will we get reviews? And you're not going to like the answer, but this is just the case, and this is how it is, and it's naturally. Okay. Now I know some of you might be dissatisfied, like, oh, okay, well that's okay, well whatever. That's really the best way to go about doing this, because you don't want to put yourself at risk of asking people for reviews, because sometimes even asking a person, you should not even ask a person, hey, can you maybe think about writing a review? No matter how you phrase it, you're trying to tell the person to leave your review. You don't want to do that. But what you can do is naturally do it. Now, how do we do that? Use an email follow-up sequence tool such as Feedback Genius or Profit Phoenix. Okay, that's the best way to go about doing this. And now, for those of you who aren't familiar with what this is, Amazon enables you to send emails to your customers through your Amazon seller account. Now, your email, as well as the customer email, is kind of encrypted, meaning that you can't actually see the real email of the person, but you can still, through Amazon system, send them emails. Okay. Now Amazon automatically sends them certain emails. So after they place an order, they get an order confirmation. After it's shipped, they get a shipped notice, etc. But you want to do your own due diligence and send them messaging via email using a tool such as Feedback Genius or Profit Phoenix that connects directly to your Amazon seller account, and you can basically set up an email sequence that goes out to them after the purchase. Okay, so this is the best way to go about getting reviews naturally. And in my experience, making these emails short and requiring a prompt is the best way to get reviews naturally. Okay, now first of all, remember that those who you are just giving your product to right now, your family and friends, they are already probably inclined to giving you a review. Okay, that should be the case. Hopefully you have people in your life that care about you enough that you know that hopefully they're going to give you a review. um, and the email sequence can prompt that and can tell them, hey, thank you so much for buying my product. It would be great if you can just leave a product review if you've had a chance to use the product, etc. And there's two things. There's seller feedback, which is the rating that the person has based on the selling, the delivery experience, the fulfillment experience, and then there's also the product review, which is more important when it comes to ranking, because that's what you see on the on the product, on the listing. Okay, so another benefit of doing this is that you can sift out any negative reviews early on in the process. So what I recommend, and I don't have this on the screen, but what I recommend you doing is doing a 3 to 4 part email series. The first email should go out immediately when the order is placed. So right when the person orders, you send them an email through your own system. Like I said, Amazon has its own emails going out, but you send your own email personalized, mentioning them by name, and you can do that with these systems. You can actually say, hey John, hey Mike, hey Lisa, whatever the case is. You can actually mention them by name and put a personal message in there. And then 7 days after, so the first one is right when the order is placed, the next one is 7 days after. This is when you ask them for seller feedback, and you also ask them, hey, do you have any issue, you should have received the product by now. Thank you so much for ordering it. We hope you've had a chance to use it. If you've had any issues so far, or if you have any issues with the product, please let us know. We'd be happy to help. Satisfaction of our customers is our number one goal, or whatever the case is, right? So you make it a very nice, personalized, short, ideally message, and prompt a response. So what this will do on day 7 is, first of all, you can ask them for seller feedback. Number 2, you can actually ask them if there's any issues with the product. So many times, my customers and other customers who have used this technique, what happens is a lot of people who have negative reviews, they think the product is trash, for example, or it's very defective, or whatever the case is. That is your opportunity to fix that before they actually think about putting up a 1-star product review or 2-star product review, right? So they'll respond to the email saying, hey, I got the product and it sucks and it's this and it's that. And that's your opportunity to get them there and improve that process and say, hey, thank you so much for letting us know. Something must have messed up with the product, or it's defective, or something must have happened at the warehouse. We'll send you one product for free, replacement, no charge, no nothing. We'll even pay for the shipping, whatever, and send it to them, get their shipping address and send it to them, right? So create that conversation. After the 7-day mark, you want to email them on the 14-day mark, and this is when you ask them for the product review. Okay, so you ask them for the product review, and tell them, hey, thank you so much for buying the product, and you hopefully you've used it by now, and this and that. Can you please leave us a product review? And then you send them the link to the product review. So that's the natural way of getting reviews. It will take a couple of weeks for those reviews to actually come in, but you can get them faster from friends and family, especially if you're in communication with them. The point is, you don't want to require a review through this process, but you can obviously, if you're in contact with your friends and family, you can probably talk to them, especially verbally, and just be like, hey, have you left that review yet? Whatever. You can kind of imply that you want them to leave the review, and hopefully they leave it sooner than later. And then the purpose of, one thing I forgot to mention, you want to get around 10 to 15 reviews in this part of the process. So there's 5 steps. So this is step 2. You want to get around 10 to 15 reviews first before we jump to step 3, which we're about to get into right now. All right, so steps 1 and 2 are complete. Prepare a listing for a big success. That's number one. And then number two, begin in the family and the friends full price buys. Now we jump into step 3. And one thing I want to mention here is, and I'm sure one question you probably have is, hey, do we have to do full price buys? Can we offer discounts or not? And the thing is that the lowest price I would go to when it comes to so the point of doing family and friends is that you have people who are willing, first of all, who you know, who you're comfortable with and you have a relationship with already, and who you know are willing to buy something for a full price, knowing that you will definitely return the money to them. You have that trust factor there. If you do that with a random person, they don't know if you're going to send them the money for sure. And that's why we have these review groups. There's Thomason, there's other review groups that exist out there that acted as the middle person to make sure that neither of the sides doesn't actually give what they promised, right? Um, but that's what you want to do with family and friends. Now, with regards to the price, you can either leave the price at what it is, which is let's say $20, or when we get into step 3, you'll see that there you could potentially lower the price to a break-even point. So you could actually lower the price if you wanted, but for step 2, there's actually no point of doing that. Just leave it at full price. Just leave it at where it is. Step 3, we'll actually get into that, and I'll explain why that's important when we get into it in just a second. Okay. All right. As I did after every step so far, let me just make sure you guys are there. That's not it. My voice is going away. Okay. Here them is searching. Yeah, so I think I already responded to them searching for your product on Amazon to improve SEO ranking on Amazon. Yes. Isn't doing that non-ethical? No, there's nothing explicit mentioned, if I'm not mistaken, in Amazon's terms and conditions that says you cannot do that. And I know many experts in the Amazon selling community who do this with regards to their product launches. So in my opinion, it's okay, and they've said it's okay. So that's what I do and what I tell people to do, and I think it's fine. I've launched in US, but I'm from UK, so you can't get family and friends to purchase. Could I pay someone? Okay, yeah. I mean, again, with Facebook and the way the world is now, I'm definitely sure you have contacts or friends or whoever. And even if you don't have people who are like friends, you probably know people in other Facebook groups that you're part of, or people who maybe you took a course and you have fellow students that could maybe help you out. I mean, there's so many ways to go about finding contacts, for this process. Some of your family and friends may not have an Amazon account. Oh, of course, they have to have an Amazon account to purchase your product on Amazon, or they haven't purchased up to $50. I'm not sure about the $50 thing. How can you request them to leave a review? I mean, you definitely want them to have an Amazon account, otherwise the whole thing is kind of pointless. Why are you using a canonical URL? That's just the URL that is kind of the raw URL for your product listing that's known to increase your rank when a person visits it and then actually buys. Because when you, for example, let's go here to this. So, for example, when you go to this kind of product page, right? There are many different things in this URL that are unneeded, that are not part of the URL, that are extra. There's a keyword there. There are other things that kind of show up here. A lot of these things, like the REF and the QID and the SR, these types of things have to do with the position of the product on the page, the time that it was searched at, and a lot of different things with Amazon's, the search kind of platform and what they use. And a lot of these things are pretty much like you don't need them, or they actually will affect your ability to gain that rank negatively. And so that's the reason you want to basically go here and download this, because this is the raw URL doesn't have any of the extra things. This is just, it has the keywords of the title here, it has the DP and then the ASIN, and that's all you need, right? The easiest way to go about getting this, like I said, is to just go here to page source and get it. Hopefully that made sense. Okay. Okay, there are a few questions coming. I'm just going to answer a couple of these. So I haven't launched a product yet. Can you give an estimate as to how long it would take to at least get a product of yours on Amazon? Yeah, I mean, it just depends on various factors like production time and lead time and shipping time, whether you're using air shipping or ocean shipping, for example. But generally, I would say probably around 2 months or so. That's probably the average time, so around 60 days. On average, maybe production, let's say, takes 3 to 4 weeks on for the average product, depending on what you're actually sourcing. It takes time to ship, and then it takes time. If you're doing air shipping, then it could be fairly quick, like 2 weeks, and then you actually get into Amazon. So anywhere between maybe 45 to like 90 days maximum. 90 days like maximum, but the average is around 60 days, I would say. So that's around 2 months. What's the difference between a full price buy and 100% off coupon? Um, I think the question, the when you actually read it, the question is actually fairly obvious. So the difference, obviously, full price buy means if your product is $20, you're paying $20. The person who's buying it is paying $20. 100% off coupon means they're paying $0, right? So one is 100%, one is a 0% off, and the other is 100% off. If that makes sense. If you want to look at both the same way. Okay. All right. So now we're gonna run through the next few steps fairly quickly, just because again I'm trying to give the overall approach here to this strategy, not really going into too much detail. So we've gone through the first 2 steps. Now we're going to go through the remaining 3 steps of this 5-step Amazon product launch strategy process. So step 3 is sponsored ads. Okay. So now, before we actually get into sponsored ads, the first thing we have to understand is there are 3 types of campaigns that we can run to make our sponsored ads show up. And even before I do that, I know that some of you are not necessarily aware of what sponsored ads are. So let me just show you what that is. So if I ever, let's say I go to Amazon and I search iPhone 7 case, right? For those of you who already know this, just bear with me. I'm just going through it because I'm assuming, I know that not everybody's at the same level of experience and knowledge in who's attending. So I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page, at least when it comes to here, when it comes to this concept. So I searched iPhone 7 case. Now, what Amazon does is it shows you results, obviously search results, and you see that these are the first 3 results, but you'll also notice how these have a sponsored tag or label on them, which means that people are actually paying to have these spots here. And now the sponsored ads are so powerful that you can see that a seller who only has 29 reviews for their product, a seller who only has 57 reviews for their product, is showing up higher, okay? Is showing up higher here than these products that are not sponsored that have tons and tons of reviews. So some of these you can't even see the reviews. I don't know how this guy got up here. He might be doing some sort of promotion, but generally the top sellers have many reviews. And now this kind of niche is a bit weird just because iPhone 7 just came out and a lot of these products are all fairly new. But if you went to like a more let's say Derma roller, for example. Okay, all the examples I'm using are terrible. I'm not sure what's going on with the search right now, but what's another product? Everyone's reviews get knocked off. Okay, so here we go. So you see the sponsored. So this person with only 40 reviews here is sponsored, and then you have people down here like this guy is 5,000 reviews. This guy is 1,400 reviews, but still this sponsored guy with only 40 reviews is showing up on top of them, right? So that's what a sponsored ad is. They have them on the top. You'll see them on the side as well, and it's basically the avenue for a new seller or for someone who's a small, newcomer to get up in terms and get visibility for the product listing. Okay, so that's what sponsored ads are. They look like this. Okay, and it's very powerful, like I said, because it can even get you to the top of page 1, which is insane. Like if I click on any one of these listings right now, I'm actually going to make someone pay a good amount of money for that click. And I'm not going to do that because I'm not cruel like that. So, and I'm tempted, but I'm not going to do it. Okay, so that's what sponsored ads are. And now what we need to understand when it comes to actually creating sponsored ads in our Amazon seller account, there are 3 types of sponsored ads that can be created: broad, phrase, and match. Now, when it comes to broad, what that means is that if you search something like, let's say dog leash, for example, okay? Now, any keyword search, any search done by any person on Amazon that has either the word dog or the word leash will actually trigger your listing to potentially show up. So you're paying for ads, right? Let's say you're paying a couple of dollars, a maximum per click, for example. So now you want to make sure that you're showing up for relevant searches, right? So what broad does is, let's say someone searches for like child leash, your product may actually show up if you're doing a broad search or broad ad or broad campaign for the word dog leash, for the phrase dog leash. So if someone searches even something about dog, like let's say dog mittens, I don't know what dogs have, like dog food or whatever, but your product is a dog leash, but you might actually show up for someone who's searching dog food. You might show up for someone searching child leash or something else leash or whatever, right? So any search that someone does that includes any of the words in that broad campaign of yours will show up, or your product may show up. Okay, so that's what broad means. What phrase means is that that exact phrase has to be somewhere in the search. Okay, so if someone, let's say if your campaign, your phrase, your keyword is dog leash. Now if someone says best dog leash or dog leash blue or something like that, then your product will show up because the phrase is included in the search that the person is putting into Amazon. Match is your if the search is exactly what you have in your campaign. So your product is only going to show up for the search that is dog leash. That's it. It doesn't matter if someone puts a dog leash, the dog leash, or dog leash white, or dog leash this or that, or something before dog leash or after. Only if someone only searches dog leash, you'll show up. Okay, so match is the exact search in the campaign. Phrase is anything before or after that phrase, along with in that search. Broad is any word that's part of that phrase. If there's any search with it, then it'll show up. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. So now this process is known as STMT, and this basically, I'm going to try to explain this as best as possible. And now let me actually pull up pages here. All right, guys, bear with me. I'm just going to open this up. Okay, it's not working. That's not it either. Okay, sure. There we go. All right, guys. So let's say that we have 10 major keywords, right? So let's say this is my first keyword. And then you have a second keyword. And then you have a third keyword. And so on and so forth until you get to 10, right? So basically what you're going to do is you're going to create one campaign for each keyword, okay? So each of these is a campaign, okay? So this is a campaign when we're talking about your backend. So you create one campaign for this keyword, you create one campaign for each keyword, and then what you do is you're going to create 3 different ad categories under the campaign. Okay, so you're going to put in one is going to be broad. Okay, let's put it here. So one is going to be broad, the other is going to be phrase, and then the other is going to be exact. Okay, So you're going to put in for this keyword, you're going to have one campaign. Under that campaign, you're going to have 3 of these sub campaigns. One's going to be broad, one's going to be phrase, one's going to be exact for that one keyword. And what you're going to do is you're going to bid around $25 a day. Again, the daily budget's up to you. Okay. It's the type. This is the daily budget, and this is the bid per click. Okay. The bid per click, you're going to put it around 202. Now, let me go through this one by one. So, the reason we have 3 campaigns that we're doing for every keyword, and we're doing the 10 major keywords that we have. So you have a total of 30 campaigns, okay? So you're gonna have 30 campaigns. Now, obviously, this you have to have somewhat of a budget here. And if you don't, then you either want to limit the number of keywords you're doing, or you want to limit the daily budget or the bid per click. One of those, things you have to do, okay? But again, I would recommend if you're able to do the 10 keywords and if you're able to do 3 campaigns for each one, go ahead and do that. And what we're trying to do here is test as many different things as possible, and we only want to use our most powerful and strongest and most relevant keywords for this process, okay? And these are all manual campaigns as well. These are not automated campaigns, because automated campaigns will actually make us waste more money than even potentially manual campaigns will, because automated campaigns, if you have ever run automated campaigns, Amazon takes care of all the keyword stuff and all the targeting and all that stuff, and it ends up wasting a lot of money for most people. Try to follow this approach when you start the manual instead of the automated. And the manual, if you do it the way we're doing it here, it will actually enable you to get a lot of data when you download reports, because you can download reports whenever you run campaigns on Amazon doing sponsored ads. Okay, so you're gonna do broad, phrase, exact, $25 a day budget. If you can lower that if you want to, or increase that, and then bid per click. So now the reason that we do 202, generally, if it's a more competitive niche, if it's extremely competitive, you want to go higher. If it's less competitive, you can go lower. But the principle here is to use an odd and uncommon weird number. Okay, so because the logic, so let me just kind of tell you how this has come up in the past couple of years. Before, everybody would use a common number. So someone bids 75 cents, someone bids $1, someone bids $1.25 or $1.30 or $2. Now, people are inclined to using those even numbers because that's just how it is. So what the strategy was, let's say about a year ago or a few months ago, was, hey, everybody just do 176, do 101, 201. And guess what happened then? Everybody started doing that. So now we kind of just keep pushing up. And so now we do 202 or 203. The point is just do an odd number. So even if you're aiming for, let's say, 75 cents, go like 78 cents or 77 cents. If you're going to do $1, do like 103 or 102 or whatever, right? Don't do like 120 or 130 or don't do an even number. Add a couple of cents to it, because there are likely many people bidding at that same, because this is all competition. You're bidding, whoever gets the higher bid when it comes to your niche, when it comes to your category for that keyword, whoever gets the higher bid is probably the one who's going to have a better position for their ad on the pages on Amazon, right? When it comes to the search. So if you can beat someone by 1 cent or 2 cents, or many people probably are bidding at that range. Let's say a lot of people for this product are bidding at $2 or 201. You beat all of them out just by increasing your bid by 1 cent. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So you're going to do this all the way down, okay? So 202, like all the way down. For each keyword, you're going to have 202, okay? And you're going to do it for each of these types of ads, all right? So that is the strategy for sponsored ads. And what you'll do is, obviously there's reporting. There is statistics that you'll start getting once you actually start doing these ads. And you'll see and you'll be able to adjust based on the performance. So if you see there are certain ads or certain keywords that are getting really bad conversions, or they're not performing well, or etc., you can change and shift around, and you can also download reports. For example, the broad report will get you a good report that you can use to move words from phrase to exact, right? So broad, again, if you're using the word dog leash, for example, right, you may find out that people are searching for leash blue, for example, right? Or let's say blue leash, right? The only way you're going to know, and the report will show you that people are searching for blue leash, is if you do a broad report. That's the only way you'll know, okay? If your keyword is dog leash. And if you had not, because sometimes you think, okay, well, if broad is going to include everything, then I might as well just not do broad. I might as well only do exact, because I only want people to find I only want my product to show up for the ads for those keywords that I know for sure, are good. But you don't know for sure, right? You want to have space to find more and do more research. So if you did broad and your keyword is dog leash, you might find out that people are searching blue leash a lot, or you might find out that people are searching, I don't know, dog something a lot. So the broad will actually give you a lot of good data. And once you actually find out that, okay, you know what, according to the broad campaign, a lot of people are searching blue leash, what you can do is move blue leash and add it to the phrase. So that can be like another keyword that you do, and you can move it to phrase if you want. And then with phrase, there are certain keywords that are performing really well. You can move them to exact. So it's almost like a process of moving keywords down the chain from broad to phrase to exact. Okay, that's kind of a side note that I just wanted to mention there. Okay, guys. So that was just a brief overview of sponsored ads, and again, there can be so much more said about sponsored ads and the strategy, but again, this is the higher level approach of how to go about doing the product launch strategy. So again, we're here on step 3. So we did prepare a listing for a big success. We did the family and friends full price buys. We did the sponsored ads. Now let's jump into the final 2, split testing to maximize conversion rate, and then also how to fix an underperforming listing. Obviously, the 5th one is kind of an optional. Hopefully, none of us is actually ever in that situation, but the reality is that not all of our products will do well as we want them to. There will always be room to improve, and that's why we can use step 5. So steps 4 and 5 will be fairly quick, so I'm just going to go through them, and then maybe we can do some Q&A before we close this off. So step 4 is to split test to maximize conversion rate. So when it comes to split testing, so first of all, even before I get into a couple of specifics, split testing sounds like a scary word. Another word for it is A/B testing. It sounds like a scary word. It sounds like a very technical marketing term, but it's really not. All that it means is that you're testing different aspects of your offer, of your product, of your listing, and seeing which works better. That's all it is. So, for example, you have your product right now at $20. It's selling pretty well. But one of the foundational elements of marketing in any business is split testing, because there's always that question is, well, what if? What if I increase my price to 25? What if I decrease my price to 15? Right? Would I get enough volume at the lower price to make me more profit or not? Because at the end of the day, what you're looking for is obviously higher profits, right? So even if you decrease your price by $5, which sounds like a terrible thing to do, if you were getting, let's say, 10 sales a day at $20 per unit, you're making $200 revenue. Now, if you decrease your price to 15, but you get 20 sales a day, you're actually making $300 revenue, right? So you actually just increase your revenue by $100 by decreasing the price by $5, but the volume of sales that you got made up for it. And you would have never known that if you had never done split testing. So split testing is very important to maximize the potential of your product and of your business. You have to do it constantly, but there's a process and a system of doing it. Okay. So again, it's just testing different things to see what works better. And then once you actually do the test over a certain period of time, then you can stick with whichever one of those options won that split test. Okay. So when it comes to split testing, the first thing you should always test or split test is your main image, okay? So your main image is what you should split test, because your main image has a lot to do with your traffic, and it's just one of the main elements, like the main element that you want to split test first, okay? So what you do is you have your current main image, and it's bringing you a certain amount of traffic, and what you do is you change your main image to something different, to something else, and you want to make sure that you take note. Whenever you do a split test, always make sure that you know when you're starting the split test and when you're ending the split test and what you're doing the split test for. Always do it for one thing. So don't change the image and the title and something else. Don't do that, because if you do that and let's say you increase in sales, how will you know which one of those changes led to that increase? You don't know. So you make sure that when it comes to split testing, you change one thing at a time. You don't change multiple things. So you change your main image for a period of 7 days, and you see whether it improves traffic or it decreases traffic. Okay, you see which one it does. Which did it better traffic or did it decrease traffic? Based on the result, you stick with one of the options, and then you go to the next split test, which best practice is to do price. Okay, so immediately you jump into price, and I already mentioned the example of price. If you're at $20, you either increase it by 5 and you go to 25, or you decrease it by 5, you go to 15. Only do one at a time, obviously. So let's say it's at $20 for the next week, put it at 15, see if it improves or it doesn't, okay? And then, so that's price. And then you can also thirdly do the entire listing. So there are different elements on your listing, like the title and the bullets and the description. You can change the title by itself, and I think that in and of itself is a good split test as well. When it comes to bullets and description, I would probably recommend changing all of it. So there's not enough of an impact, in my opinion, on one bullet point or on one part of the description or on one like headline or one word, a few words here or there in the bullet or the description to to do a split test. I don't think there's enough of a reason to do that. So in the case that you want to split test your listing, other than the title, just replace completely the bullets and the description and just come up with a new copy altogether. If your initial copy was emotional and this and that, you can maybe change it to logical, maybe change it to something more raw or whatever. There's different styles of copy, obviously, and see, okay, well, but do it for the whole listing, specifically the bullets and the description, okay? That's what I mean by entire listing. So that you can actually automate this, well, not automate, but you can actually use a tool to do this, which is pretty cool. So it's actually a split testing software for Amazon sellers, Amazon FBA sellers specifically. And you can go to this link. So it's bit.ly/splitly, SPLITLY FP. So FP I just put at the end of the link. That's my initials for Zonperupia. So bit.ly/splitly FP. So you can go there and check it out. Obviously, you can use the software for a limited time while you're doing the split test, and then once you're done with the split test, you can just not use it or just cancel or whatever the case is. But it's a great software because there are certain manual aspects of this process that it's difficult for people to do or it's difficult for people to track. And so it's just so much easier to just rely on a software. It kind of tracks everything for you. And there's like a data stream that you can, really have in a visual aspect to really keep track and to make sure that everything's going right and to really see the data in front of you instead of all over the place. Because split testing is fairly it's simple in conceptually, but when you actually do it, there are so many like moving parts, and you want to make sure that you're doing it right and properly, right? So that was split testing to maximize conversion rate. Now, one important thing when it comes to conversion rate, the purpose of split testing is to maximize conversion rate. I didn't emphasize that enough. So split testing for conversion rate, where you see the conversion rate is in your Amazon seller account. So if you go to business reports, or not business reports, if you go into the advertising section, I believe, not advertising. What am I saying? It's like 2 hours into this webinar. I'm like going crazy now. But yeah, in your seller account, you can find the conversion rate for your specific product listing, and it'll give you the exact number of people who have viewed and come to your listing, and then the exact number of people who have actually converted and bought, like become customers, and then it'll give you the percentage. So it'll tell you, hey, 100 people came to this listing today or in this specific time range, and 20 of them bought. Your conversion rate is 20%. So obviously, once you start the split test, what's important is for you to make note of, hey, what's the conversion rate been, let's say for the past 30 days or 60 days or whatever. And now for the next week, when I do the split test, I change the image or I change the title or I change the listing copy. Let's see if the 20% goes up to 21% or 22%. And why this is so important is because over the long term, just 1% change in your conversion rate can make such a huge difference when it comes to your profitability. And that's another reason split testing is so important, and so many Amazon sellers don't do this, unfortunately. But there's always room for improvement and to maximize your conversion rate, because that's one of the three main factors, as we talked about, when it comes to ranking. The higher your conversion rate is, not only the higher your profits are, but the higher your potential ranking is on Amazon. And of course, all of this, it's like a snowball effect, right? The higher your conversion rate is, the more sales you'll get. The more sales you get, the more traffic you get, because your ranking is increasing, and then it just kind of flows like that. So conversion rate is part of those three factors, and it can just a small increase in that percentage can hugely improve your bottom line, your profit. All right, and then the fifth and final step here, just very quickly. I know it's been a long webinar, and I appreciate you guys' patience. But that's the mid-launch contingency. So how to fix an underperforming listing? Well, number one. Okay, so let me explain this real quick. I'm just going to put everything on the slide, and I'll just explain it. So when it comes to business or marketing, there's two basic concepts to understand. One is traffic, and one is conversion. And your Amazon listing has either one or both of these problems if it's not doing well. Either you're not getting enough traffic to your listing, meaning enough people are not seeing it or getting to it. And then number two is, and or your conversion is messed up, meaning that, okay, you're getting a good number of people to your listing, but your conversion is so low. So you're getting, hey, 100 people a day to your listing, but only 10 of them are converting, or only 5 of them are converting. Your conversion rate's at 5% or 10% when it should be at 20-25%. I mean, imagine the difference in profit and revenue, just going from 5 or 10% to 20%, right? So it's one of these two problems. And you have to go through your, for example, you can go and check your sponsored ads to see what the click-through rate is. So for example, if a sponsored ad is getting 1,000 impressions, but only 3 clicks, which happens quite often with ads, right? If that's the case, then you probably know, or that's probably one indication that your main image is the problem, right? Because if you have 1,000, because if people are seeing your ad, seeing your product, but they're not clicking on it, that means they're probably clicking on someone else's, because no one searches for a product generally to not look for it or to buy it, right? So they're looking, but they're not clicking on yours, meaning that someone else's main image, or their first few words of their title, or maybe their price, is doing a better job of attracting that click than yours is. So that's something to think about. So it's traffic. Another problem could be conversion, like I said. So you can go to the sponsored ad reports, and you can see the conversion rates for each keyword, right? You can see that, okay, for this keyword, this many people visited or clicked, this many people bought, and that's the conversion rate for that keyword. So all of this data for traffic and conversion is available, even whether it's sponsored ads or whether it's regular organic traffic. You can find both. In the sponsored ads reports, you can find the sponsored ads traffic and conversion numbers. For normal traffic and conversion for organic, you can just go to your seller account and find that data there. But it's important to identify, okay, well, what's the problem? And then you basically fix it. There have been times when I've recommended to a person, just completely flush your listing. And you might actually have this with existing products, but now that you know how important that first step is, remember the foundational step of setting up your listing for big success. And that includes keyword research and all the other things we talked about. If you maybe didn't do that for previous products, and you have a faltering listing, you have a product that's not performing well, and it's one of these two problems, if not both, traffic and conversion, then maybe you need to completely not take down your listing, but completely change your listing up. Change the images, change the title, change the bullets, change the description, kind of almost redo step one of this entire process and fix up your listing, right? That might just be what you need to do in certain cases, instead of trying to improve certain elements, right? So that's kind of how to fix a faltering listing, kind of high level of what you should be looking at to identify what the issue is, and then taking action based on that. Okay, guys, so that was the end of it. So again, these are the 5 steps that we talked about. Just to review very, very quickly, the new Amazon product launch strategy. Hopefully that was valuable and beneficial. Before the launch, prepare the listing for a big success. Beginning of the launch, family and friends full price buys as well as sponsored ads. And then the middle of the launch, do split testing to maximize conversion rate, and also the contingency plan just in case your product listing is not doing very well or your launch is not going well, how to actually go about fixing it high level. So that was the webinar. And now if you guys have any specific questions before we close, I can go and respond to them, hopefully.